drumming is definitely in your blood. So as well as doing it during the day as a day job, you've now adopted it in your spare time with the Royal Marine Volunteer Cadet Corps.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with that?
Well, most drummers in the UK, sort of military drummers, would have started off in some sort of cadet youth band or some sort of military style band. And as over the years, that activity's really it's taken a hit. Not just drumming, but musical instruments as well. Lots of schools don't have the funds or the ability to teach kids music. So the opportunity came around to try and reinvigorate the local cadet band unit. So a few of us got involved. We started off with like 4 cadets. This is just before the pandemic as well, which was quite irritating at the time. But we started off with just 4 cadets. We kind of looked at the training, because the Volunteer Cadet Corps, it's not just band, it's also, they have a Navy aspect to it, and Royal Marines, they have training for them. So one of the things that we looked at doing was trying to make the band activity a kind of a fundamental activity within the Cadet Corps, so that we could solely focus on music.
Yeah.
So once we had that in place, and we started getting funding and instruments and uniforms, it was just a matter of bringing the cadets in. But then lockdown kicked in. But luckily we kept online teaching, and we managed to grow our numbers. And when we came back after COVID, we've now got 50 cadets, which is great.
That's amazing. Go from 4 to 50 with nobody in attendance, and it's just been online. And and obviously before COVID, Zoom wasn't really a thing, and all of a sudden COVID hit, and this Zoom thing just came out of nowhere, and everybody's using it to communicate with everybody who they could have done a long time ago, but they didn't. But it's obviously proved a really good teaching tool for yourselves.
Yeah. Yes, we've got 2 bands. We've got one based in Gosport, just near Portsmouth, and one in Plymouth. So we're trying to build up those bands, and I'll take my hat off to any youth bands out there, and the organisers and the founders of those, because having gone through the process of getting a band established, I know how difficult it is. Because we've had the backing of the Volunteer Cadet Corps, we've not had to worry, because there's all sorts of safeguarding, training you've got to do. There's health and safety. You've got to then buy all the instruments, all the uniforms. So doing the fundraising on top of trying to build a band. I just you've got bands like Brentwood who use the drums, and they're amazing. They're kind of one of the bands we look up to try and emulate, that have done so well. So it's going to be a long-term process. We're getting there.
Well, I think you're doing well, because there's a lot of youth bands during COVID have lost people, other than Brentwood, who have also, like yourselves, gained a load of people. I think they came back after COVID and still had something like 100 or 110 people in the bands. They've done well, but there's a lot of bands folding, and so to start a band afresh during COVID, you've done well to have 50 when you start off with 4. So that's incredible. So what sort of age ranges are we looking at?
So you can join from 9, which is good because we get them started early. Only problem with that is it's really small, so carrying drums and instruments is quite tricky. But they start at 9, and then they can actually stay until they're 18, and then we have a few cadets that will end up becoming staff members. Yeah, and we've got quite a few actually that want to join the Royal Marines. So we're in a good spot to help them.
Yeah, bit of a recruiting tool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So another question that tends to throw people: what one invention in the marching band world would you wish you'd invented yourself, other than the dragon?
Oh, that's a question. Well, actually, my dad invented some things in his time. So he invented what we call the cod piece, which is like if you're not in a marching band, I don't know who else uses them actually, but basically it's like a padded thing that goes on the drum to help protect your leg. So he created that, and also a different style of feet which work with the old metal rims.
Yeah.
So he did invent some bits and bobs. What would I like to invent? Well, it would have been nice to have founded BDC.
I mean, it's hard because obviously in the big world of things, everybody say, I'd like to do the cat's eye or the pen, because obviously it's a thing that's used. But in the marching band world, there's not something that you could really say that would have changed my life possibly, other than Kevlar heads or something like that. So it's a bit of a strange question, but I'm always keen to hear what people's thoughts are.
Well, because the drum is certainly the military drum, not traditional drum. It is literally just a shell, a couple of skins. That's kind of that's what it is. But I mean, I must admit the lever tone system, is genius. With the I like things which are simplistic.
Yeah.
and kind of took that whole engineering of what used to be the bottom snare mechanism of a standard military drum, and kind of really pared it down to just like a throw off.
Yeah.
But it's a parallel action still, so that's really clever.
Yeah.
And I also like the new ball feet on the BDC drums, because again they're simple, but they work. Was that you? Was it you?
Yeah. To be honest, not that we're going into a product launch here, but that's the favourite part of mine. Basically, because I've seen it happen loads of times. You quickly tune your drum up, you take the boards off, you put them down somewhere, and they go, they disappear. You've got to take them off, or if you obviously when you turn your drums upside down, the chrome used to scratch off. You had the brass colour, so it was all these things I wanted to change that I didn't like, from previous drums I'd used. So, but yeah, that's my favourite part. But yeah, that was my idea.
That was a good one. There you go. That'd be mine. I wish I'd.
So now you've left, although this all started when you were in joined the Society of International Rudimental Drummers. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a new organisation. So do you want to explain that? Because there'll be a lot of people who don't even know what it is.
Yeah. Well, it started off in 2016. Got an invitation to go out to Switzerland to kind of represent UK drumming, military drumming, and that was in Bern. And basically, the Swiss Association of Drummers got together with the French Association, and they wanted to bring as many kind of military style rudimental drummers together to just share what it is we do, look at different styles, techniques, how we're tackling youth engagement in each of our countries, how we can help each other. And it was at the time CERD didn't exist. This was just a kind of coming together of different associations and drummers. I think there was 10 or 11 countries at that one, from America, Switzerland, France, Sweden, Norway, right as far as Singapore. So that was the first one, and from that, then discussion started happening as should we have a kind of society to represent rudimental drumming across the world?
Yeah.
So then the second one happened in Paris in 2018, and at that one, that was the official kind of so CERD, so the Society of International Rudimental Drummers was established officially, and I became involved. And in 2018, I was also asked if we could host it in the UK for 2020. Obviously, that didn't happen. So I then reorganised it for 21. That didn't happen. So we've just had the third symposium in Portsmouth just this weekend, just gone, and just to show how much the society is growing in a relatively short space of time. So we've gone from 11 countries to 22 different countries that are kind of part of the society. And at the event, we had nearly 100 drummers, whereas in Paris and Bern we had about 40 drummers. So yeah, it's grown massively. And it's really great to see so many people, with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
It's not cheap at the moment to get anywhere. So to see that many drummers, from America, right across to the Japanese there, they're brilliant, and at the event, it's basically a series of presentations and workshops. So on the Friday, we had a lot of the smaller countries, let's say, so countries which it's not such a long tradition, but they've got rudimental drummers. So countries like Japan, Greece, we have Germans presented as well. So we had quite a few presenters, and then on the Saturday, we had our masterclasses and clinics where we had representation from Scotland, England, America, Switzerland, Holland, France. So sort of the sort of the bigger nations, shall we say?
Yeah.
For rudimental drumming.
I mean, I attended that. And it was incredible. Like you said, with people from all over the world. But it wasn't just people attending. We also had presentations from people in Argentina and places like that. So it's it's really taken off in that short space of time that you got all these countries involved in this organisation. So obviously, this symposium was meant to be 20 and then 21, and it nearly wasn't 22. How much work behind the scenes went into organising something like that?
Lots. Yeah, putting anything on that scale is difficult, and you want it to be as good as you possibly can. So you don't want to you don't want to kind of scrimp on anything. You want it to be the best that we can. So additions to this year, we had like an awards dinner, because I felt there's so many people in CERD and around the world that are doing great stuff. So we had some awards, which BDC sponsored the awards, so thanks for that. So we had the Accent Award, which was for individuals who have or groups who have made a massive impact in their country, in developing fields. So we had a representative from Argentina and one from Finland who won those awards because they've just been doing great stuff.
Yeah,
building up rudimental drumming. We had the Fisher Award. So Ollie Fisher, he's the chairman of CERD. So that was to our web designer, Alex. He's just brilliant. He's done so much work, really helped me out on this project. And then we had the Share the Tradition Award, which is our kind of tagline motto, and that was to Mark Riley, who has just come on as the artist, but he's massive, and that's for sort of dedicating their life to rudimental drumming, which he has in a massive way, and is a huge inspiration for so many of us. But yeah, just trying to get in all the little details, and as any event, as it gets closer to the deadline, the details become even more and more, and it becomes sort of infinite amount of problems to solve.
Yeah, and especially for you, bear in mind, COVID's hit it twice, and with the Her Majesty the Queen dying, that was nearly, because it was on the same weekend. Symposium was on the weekend and the funeral was on the Monday, so it's just another thing in flights and delays and travel problems, and
we had the train strikes, which were looking like it was going to happen, but then they didn't. And then also when it announced that the Queen had passed away, it was a moment of what are we going to do? We've got all these people coming from all over the world. They've paid lots of money. Really didn't want to cancel the event, but things would have been out of our control. But we managed to work it out properly. We did change a few things, out of respect, but it was fine. And actually, the event pretty much went as planned. There's always things you can learn and do better. But on the whole, I was really pleased with the event, and I think the feedback I got from a lot of people was
it was great. Like I said, I was there, and I enjoyed meeting people, Ayami from Japan, and people who you speak to them on Facebook and online, but to actually meet them
that was weird.
And I do think that's a good leveler. It makes it a little bit easier once you've spoken to them online for a little bit. When you do meet them, it's not as awkward or anything like that. So
it's weird nowadays, isn't it? Because you can be a friend with someone on Facebook for years, like Alexander and Nadelkos, who's our web designer. I've been speaking to him pretty much every single week for the last 2 years. And it was only when he said, we've never actually met in person, I was like, really? I feel like we were best friends.
It's weird, but it's great because it does take away that, the awkwardness. And I think people gel a little bit quicker. And, like I say, there's people from all over, and we had such a good laugh. And, the symposium went without any issues, and it was great. But it's now been released that it's going to Washington in 24.
Yeah.
After the symposium on Saturday, we went out for a couple of drinks, and I think that spontaneous, that's something Mark's got to fill, because it turned out to it's quite a good night that everybody just went out, and it just sort of happened, and it was amazing. So
it was almost as if it was planned. I wish I could take credit for that.
Yeah.
But no, everyone just went out, and it was a great night.
Yeah. So, looking back, if you could go back to meet a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give? Or would you not? Would you just let them get on with it, knowing where it's going to go? Or
well, when I was young, naive in the Warm Marines core drums, I saw, which wasn't a bad thing, but I saw the best drummers in the Warm Marines. That was my pinnacle. That was what I was trying to achieve, to become the best in the Warm Marines. But I would have said, look outside of the Warm Marines. There's other styles, there's other drummers. Get that inspiration. Practice more. You can always practice more, can't you? So that would have been another bit of advice. But generally in the Royal Marines, because I had my father, I was following in his footsteps, and also my elder brother, who was also in the Royal Marines, and he ended up being the Corps Bugle Major, sort of in charge of all the Royal Marine drummers. So I think I managed to kind of find my own path. Throughout. I don't think I was ever really in their shadow, and I did my own sort of thing. So I think I did okay there, but I would have definitely said, if I just known a little bit more earlier on about the world of drumming, I think it would just made me a bit more rounded drummer, and this whole process could have started earlier, perhaps. But I think I did it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth noting and letting people know that you have got quite a big family presence in the Royal Marines, because obviously your dad was in for, how long was he in for? It was quite a while now, wasn't it?
I'll say 38 years.
38, and then obviously your brother's sort of still in. He's still in the Royal Marines, although he's left.
Well, he's left now.
Oh, has he left?
Yeah.
So
just May, so.
And your sister's in as well, and she's still in.
Yeah,
she joined up in, was it 91 or
90?
90?
Yeah, 91. Yeah.
91.
My dad left in 93.
So she's out seniors all.
yeah. She's I say because me and my brother followed my dad in the fact that we were drummers, and my sister followed my dad in the fact that she just stayed so long.
Yeah.
She was there on Monday marching around London.
Yeah, she plays clarinet. She's not a drummer.
Yeah, clarinet. Yeah. Very good one as well.
So we might as well touch on briefly your new job, because obviously you've left the band service, but you're still within the Royal Marines. So what is it you're actually doing now then?
So now I'm kind of left and then joined back up, and I'm now working with the Royal Navy in their recruiting and attraction sort of department, where it's attract is it's not necessarily recruiting. It's just about showing that there is careers within the Royal Navy, and the different types of careers that are available.
Yeah.
There's a whole raft of different jobs you can do in the Royal Navy and Royal Marines. So part of my job is working with the media team, helping to make sure that we send out the same message, making sure that we're looking at different demographics around the country, trying to attract different groups of people. So then it's a good representation of the nation of Britain.
Yeah.
We're such a diverse country, so it's trying to get that diversity in the Royal Navy as well. So it's I've only just started, so I'm still finding my feet, still trying to understand exactly what I'm doing, but so far, I'm enjoying it. It's good.
Okay, so that moves me nicely on to my last question. So what are your plans for 22, 23, 24? Have you got any in the pipeline, or?
Well, I'd like to do some sort of more workshops. I'd like to go back out and visit Basel, hopefully next year, Fastnacht.
Yeah.
Need to start learning the drum solos, because they're really you've got each drum solo, because it's rudimental drumming, it's based on rudiments. They do sound very similar. So trying to learn them, it does take a long time to get them into old grey matter.
And it's also how they're written as well. It's not.
Yeah, it's a totally different style of writing.
Yeah.
Which once you get it, it clicks and you've got it. But I want to learn some more solos, because you can't just go out knowing a couple. We've got to know at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
To be worthwhile. But I'd like to go back out there, and because over the years I've made some good friends out there. So it'd be nice to sort of meet up with them. So hopefully do that next year. Obviously we've got 24 with Washington, and just and try and build rudimental drumming across the world. Do more with the cadets and get them going, and do more for BDC if I can.
Well, I'm sure we'll try and keep you busy. So I just want to finish off with a fast fire round.
Okay.
So basically, I'll give you a choice of 2 answers, and you just got to pick one.
Okay.
Okay, we tried to do this with Ty, and it was nothing but fast. So, okay, here we go then. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
White wine or red wine?
Red wine.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Pineapple on or off pizza?
On.
Ugh. Adidas and Nike?
Nike.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Practice pad or drum?
Ooh, I do like practice pad, but I like the drum as well.
Netflix or Amazon Prime?
Oh, currently I'm wavering. Netflix, let's say.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook. I don't know. Instagram's good as well, because I'm still trying to get my head around Instagram.
Well, there's always another social media channel just keep popping up, so it's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah. Think of Instagram, you've got a plan when you do a post. Facebook, you just sort of start writing it. Whereas Instagram, you've got to go into notes, add the hashtags in. It's just a bit more.
Too much hassle, is it?
But I'm trying to get better at it.
So obviously that's the interview done, but if people want to know a bit more about you, or how to find about you, or the Society of International Rudimental Drummers, or cadets, or where can they go to find out more about who you and what you're involved in?
We haven't just berated Instagram, so my Instagram is @drumrussell on Instagram. Then for the Society of International Rudimental Drummers, we're on Facebook. Just type in Society of International Rudimental Drummers, or CERD, a bit of a mouthful. Or you can go on our website, which is rudimentaldrumming.org, and on there there's all our events, information about the society. We've also got a YouTube and podcast series as well. That's on YouTube. But we're trying to grow. We're kind of still in the early stages of really establishing the society. But it's a good website. It's got loads of information on there. And the cadets, volunteercadetcorps.org, I believe, is the website.
Okay.
And get involved. Again, band at the moment is only sort of in the 2 regions at the moment, but we are looking at hopefully spreading around the country.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Well, thanks for coming along. It's been great. And we look forward to the next episode. Take care.